And good morning. Good morning, everyone. How are you today?
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right.
Good morning.
We're all here. We want to thank everyone for being here. I'm Terrence Wall, and want to welcome you to the May 2025 ChamberCast right here at Bellworks with the Monmouth Regional Chamber of Commerce. See, Therese is in the house. Thank you, as always, for being here. Let's also thank Bellworks and the wonderful founder of the Metro Burb, Ralph Zucker. A round of applause to Mr. Zucker. Thank you for all that you've done. And I think it's also notable that we thank all of our veterans, all the men and women who fought for our freedom. Memorial Day was about celebrating and about appreciation and respect for the men and women who fought. And remind us that freedom isn't free. And I'd like to ask if any of our veterans are in the audience, if you can stand up, if you would. We'd appreciate that. And we are going to just a round of applause for all the veterans, all the men and women today and in the past who allow us to be in places like gorgeous Bellworks, to be safe and to send messages and information and get together as a community to share information, which is what we're doing today. You know, it's interesting where there's something that all of us are doing today. This is my pop quiz for the day. All of us today are doing what? If anybody can answer that question. What are we all doing each and every day? Aging, aren't we? Every day.
That's right.
And you know, so yesterday we met our new our niece's daughter, a couple months old, and she's with her parents and family, and my mother is also there. She's 88 years old, and she's going strong. I like to say she's running circles around the gals over in Boscov's where she still works part-time. And so from 8 to 80 and everywhere in between, all of us are on this life's journey, this continuum, right? And so part of what we need is support. Whether you're a baby, whether you're an older person or in the middle, is you need supports in many different ways, maybe mental health, physical health, things of that nature. So May is also Older Americans Month, and today's podcast is about empowering seniors to thrive. It's something that all of us can learn from, and we're going to introduce you to the team that's here today. The senior care business itself is thriving, a $500 billion business. That's big, and that speaks to the need folks of some of the things, all of the things you're going to be hearing about today and how it incorporates into your life from any generation. It's really multi-generational because what impacts one generation impacts the other generations. So I want to introduce the folks that are here with us today, and then we're going to go around the room so you could introduce yourself. And before we get started, I also want to thank our coffee sponsor, which is the Shore Atlantic Club. And we have Scott Linnell here, who used to also work in Bellworks. Scott, thank you so much. And we're gonna hear from Scott in a moment. I'm sorry, yeah, the event sponsor. Oh, sorry, I'm corrected. See, my far smarter half is making sure I stay on track here. So Scott, thank you so much for being here. And you know, Jeannie, if you give Scott the microphone now so we could share Shore AC and the work that they're doing. I'm going to introduce our guests and then we'll go around the room. So Scott, please come on over and grab the mic and. You used to work right in this building, right?
I did for about 30 years. I'm a retired engineer. And
wow.
So these days I volunteer for the Shore Athletic Club. And we're a running club that covers track and field, cross country, road racing, and race walking even. We host a number of events during the year in addition to the competition that we do at state, national, even international levels. And we do have an event coming up this summer right behind the building here called the Big Bang Mile and Science Festival, July 19th. And there's more information. So come on back to the table that I've got set up in the back after the event, and I can tell you more about the event and our other events. And we're very happy to sponsor this ChamberCast. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Scott. Thank you for being here. I want to introduce our guest. Howard Stein is here. Howard, who's such a great supporter of the Chamber and all the other works in the community, leads one of the region's most trusted home care agencies with a mission centered on compassionate, client-focused care. It's about more than services, it's about advocacy and being a good neighbor, he said. Stein will share how personalized in-home care can make aging in place both safe and enriching. And as you hear from our folks, you're going to see it's really a team effort and a team approach. And we have a road show, so to speak. You're going to see how the folks that are here really work together for a better community. We also have Laura Lee Cangelosi from Fox Rehab. They're in 38 states now. Laura Lee brings a clinical perspective to this discussion, emphasizing the power of preventive and restorative care. As she would say, simple changes in the right support can mean the difference between staying at home and needing institutional care. She'll address how therapy and functional wellness services can help keep seniors strong and mobile. We also have with us Natalie Burbella, who I think is the kind of the genesis of kind of the connectivity and the spark behind the program, the Empowered Aging Program. Burbella she will highlight how safe and accessible home modifications like walk-in showers, barrier-free bathrooms are critical in independence. As she would say, empowered aging isn't just about getting older, it's about growing stronger. It's having those supports because everyone wants to be at home, of course. But of course they want to be at home. And Andrea Tarr is also here, Communication Director of Senior Citizens Activity Network. I think I'm actually sitting in her chair, right? I'm sitting in her chair today, so I want to thank you for allowing me to sit in your chair. She's going to speak on the importance of social connections, educational opportunities for seniors. SCAN's programs offer everything from tech classes to wellness sessions. As she would say, our mission is to make sure seniors know about the resources that are available to help them live independently. And now, because he's busy being a master chef in a different location, we also want to mention, because he had a scheduling conflict, James Rossiano. He's the executive chef and partner for Chefs for Seniors, and he can't make it today, but nutrition is a critical component of the discussion. Without proper nutrition, the other elements would ultimately fail, right? It's a cornerstone of healthy aging, and for Rossiano, he brings it to the table quite literally. His service, Chefs for Seniors, offers custom-prepared meals made right in the client's homes. Again, being at home. He said, we're proud to help seniors live with dignity, independence, and peace of mind. So we're thinking about him, and you can interlace his work with the work that you're doing. So I want to thank, a round of applause for our guests that are here today. I want to thank you for being here. Jeannie, if we can go around the room so folks can introduce themselves briefly, and then we're going to dive right into the conversation. We appreciate everyone being here. We are streaming live, YouTube and Facebook, and appreciate you sharing this content with your friends and peers and business partners. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. My name's Teresa. I'm with CSAV Systems, so we're an audio-visual company. So we install different AV systems like projectors, video walls, sound systems, things like that, and we're based in Colts Neck, New Jersey.
Good morning, Gary Gelman, Gelman Images, full service photography, video production. Today, after 36 years being in Western Monmouth County, we move our offices to Spring Lake. So I'm dressed sort of in shorts today because we signify the movement to the East Coast. Thank you very much.
Great. And thank you so much for all of your video work and media work that you do. So he made a lovely promo video for this event. Thank you.
Good morning, Gail Bonus, Administrative Specialist with the Chamber, and thank you for being here and supporting us today and for the great panel we have.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Therese Rolke. I'm the Executive Director of the Monmouth Regional Chamber of Commerce. So welcome. Thank you for being here. Thanks again to Shore Athletic Club for sponsoring this event. I read your story and saw your video online, so thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And can we give a hand to the walls? I always like to recognize them because of them, we have great content every month here in the panel. I'm looking forward to hearing from you, and it's great to see you all together. That's wonderful.
Thank you. And let's hear it for Ming from a Shared Universe podcast. Thank you, Ming.
Hi, Derek Daly, Executive Vice President of Marsh McLennan Agency.
Welcome.
Hi, Nikki Gist. I own Hello Marketing. I'm here to support my friend Natalie, and shout out to A Shared Universe. I've recorded many podcasts in their studio, so great job.
Welcome.
Hi, everybody. James Davis, General Manager of FC Monmouth, Monmouth County's soccer team, representing them nationally. We have this week now a men's team ranked the top 5 in the country, and our women's team are kicking off their first home match this Saturday.
What James didn't tell you, his dad has World Construction, so for any of the parents, grandparents, children that have played on a number of recreational playgrounds throughout the county, that was constructed by World Construction. So shout out to your dad there too. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie from Mind Body Healing Center. I'm the practice manager here, but I'm going to pass the mic over to Dr. Malik, who will explain more for you guys.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Wasim Malik. I'm one of the psychiatrists at Mind Body Healing Center. I'm joined by two of my colleagues who are also working with me today to represent a mission that's very important to us, which takes a whole body approach. I'm here to tell you guys that we don't just look at managing mental health symptoms. We take an integrated approach in providing evidence-based medication management, psychotherapy, and also wellness aesthetic services, including laser hair removal, sclerotherapy for spider veins, and also Botox as well. So I just want to end off by saying we're proud to offer the care that we give at Mind Body Healing Center, inside and out.
Thank you.
You're good. Okay.
Thank you. They had a very nice grand opening where the location is right across from Coles in the professional office building near Seaview Orthopedics right there in Homedale.
Good morning. My name is Michael Compton. I'm here with for Brightview Senior Living in Homedale. I am the assisted living director there. We opened up 2 weeks ago, and we are welcoming all of our new residents into the community. We've been ingratiating ourselves throughout the community over the last several months, but just wanted to be present and make everyone aware that we are here and we are open and we are ready to enjoy everything that Monmouth County has to offer.
Okay, so welcome. So we are doing tomorrow night, we have something called a perk after work, and we're doing it at Brightview Senior Living, and we're going to also cut a ribbon from the chamber. So if you want to be there for a great networking event and a little ribbon cutting for them to welcome them to the community as a new business, come on down tomorrow night, 5:30.
Hi, my name is Tara Kaufman. I'm with New York Life. I'm a financial professional, fully licensed. I help people with retirement planning, life insurance, disability, and also pertinent to the topic today, like long-term care insurance. It's great to be here.
Good morning. My name is Monique Cradle. I'm actually Director of Outreach for Bold Age PACE, formerly known as Beacon of Life. We are a PACE program servicing Monmouth, Ocean, and soon to be Middlesex County. And if you don't know what PACE stands for, it stands for a program of all-inclusive care for the elderly. And just like all of us here, we're here to service the seniors in their home to allow them to live as independently as possible. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Jean-Paul. I am currently a student, so I do not have a business yet. I'm here to learn, and thank you.
Very nice. Hi everyone, I'm Linda Sirico with Comfort Keepers in Home Care. We are Monmouth, Ocean, and Middlesex counties of home care. We've been doing this for 25 years. We are VA Direct, and we love taking care of our seniors. Shout out to Brightview.
Good morning, Ann Mohammadi. I'm an independent corporate strategy consultant, and I support some of the nonprofits in the county.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Tara Demianovich. I am the Director of Community Relations for a nonprofit called CARC, Community Affairs and Resource Center, where we're helping people of Monmouth, Ocean, Middlesex, and some of 3 other counties with a lead remediation program, but we also assist people with rental assistance. We have over 10 programs.
Good morning, Bonnie Preston. I'm a certified insurance counselor with Conover Buyer Insurance, but more importantly, I'm president of the Chamber, and I want to thank everyone for coming today. And Jeannie and Terrence, thank you always for a wonderful panelists, and it's what, aging in place? Yeah. Empowering. And gracefully, okay, gracefully. Thank you all for being here.
I'm Jeannie Wall, the owner of Jean Wall Media, publishing for Tap Into for Homedale, Cold Snack, Middletown, Hazlitt, Keyport, and I have about 70,000 different readers from all over Monmouth County annually. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hey, let's get started. So this is really a collaboration, right? It's almost, well, I wouldn't say almost, it's a model for a $500 billion industry, And if I look anecdotally at some of the stats, if they're accurate, the skilled nursing side about 100 billion, the personal care and that piece another 80 billion or so, and the occupational therapy and the physical therapy appears to be about another 300 billion of that is represented by the folks that are here with us. So the genesis of this I was sharing earlier, because this is the road show. Usually Andre is here. How can you just where did the spark come from? How did you see? And I'd like to see from Howard and Andrea and Natalie and Laura Lee. What's the synergy behind how this all works together? So folks who want to be simply at home with the proper supports, so any generation benefits from that. You want to kick it off?
So I started off with Bathroom Pros about a year and a half ago, and obviously Bathroom Pros is a shower renovation company, and I wanted to come, and we work a lot with the senior developments, and I wanted to come up with a different reason, not just to market our product, but to market in another way, and also to help. I was just in their homes and seeing the difficulties and everything, what was going on, and I just had this vision of, and obviously talking to the owners of the company, and we just came up with this idea, and at that time it was in the fall, and I was with SCAN and I was going to be a sponsor, so I didn't want to conflict with the collaboration with SCAN. So I approached Andrea, I told her about the idea. She absolutely loved it. It was that day we were all at an event and we all just started chatting about it.
They came running over.
Yeah, we literally came running over.
They said, "What do you think about this idea?" And I said, "It's awesome."
Yeah.
Why bring one thing, right?
Exactly.
Why bring all of us?
And we just, it evolved. And then in the beginning of the year, we started meeting, and we just started the roadshow. And Howard's been doing a great job getting us scheduled with a lot of senior centers. And I've been working on some 55 and plus communities. So we've got a nice schedule ahead of us, and we're here today. Thank you.
I'm glad you're here. And for some folks, there's a direct connection. If they're inpatient, and then they're discharged, and then there's a continuity care for physical therapy, private duty nursing, of these kinds of things. But I want to ask a question in a different way. How do families know, or what are you seeing out there when families, it's coming a bit the other way, where that moment where they realize, well, we need additional help here. They're not necessarily discharged from a major surgery. They're not necessarily having a single acute care issue, but they or perhaps their family members are saying, hold on, time out. For example, the railings in a bathroom, or having somebody help them. Is there a clear line, or is it, how do folks become aware? Like, what's that? Yeah, sort of like
I'd like
realizing.
To answer
Go ahead,
that.
Andrea.
So Natalie was at one of our lunch and learns, and SCAN's tagline is, "We keep seniors active, healthy, and connected." And one of the ways we keep you connected is we have a lunch and learn event. There's always 2 presenters, and then we might have anywhere from 8 to 10 table exhibitors, all these various vendors. And so we feel at SCAN, a resource has no value if you don't know it exists. So the whole point of having these events is bringing people in to meet all of you guys. And all right, you might say, well, I don't need home helpers today. All right, maybe you don't. But we want you to meet your community partners, because one day, inevitably, you're going to need the services, and now you're going to know who they are. And that is for most people how they wind up knowing what's available. Most people have why do I need to know about rehab? Why do I need to know about someone helping me in my home if I'm not having an issue right now? Unfortunately, that's how it is for many people. So the more we bring people together and introduce them to their community partners, and of course, if you meet one of us, you're going to meet all of us. That's the whole point of us working together.
And for folks and families, there are points where they feel that they need caregiving for themselves or somebody else. But there are many words, but they're sometimes ill-defined. Could perhaps, Howard, you define caregiving? What is it? Like, what are the kinds of things that are involved in caregiving? And an adjunct to that is folks may have, as a layperson, I'm presuming that occasionally may have a resistance to reaching out to caregiving because they perceive a barrier to cost, What is the way that folks navigate that? And if we could start with a definition of what is caregiving and what that entails, and how does it dovetail with what your partners are doing?
I mean, caregiving to me is about putting someone right in front of you that needs a little assistance and just making sure that they're safe and that they're cared for in a compassionate way. I think that's what the essence of caregiving is, to put yourself before that person and to make sure that they're the ones that are front and center and being taken care of. And you know, that is an extremely difficult thing to do, not only as a family caregiver, but put yourself in the shoes of a stranger coming into someone's home that has to take care of that individual and is responsible for that individual. But in the broader sense, caregiving is providing the needs for someone else, whatever those needs are. And I think, you know, as the owner of a home care company, I think it's really important for me to be able to facilitate and connect all of the needs, the broader needs, which is the connectivity between us and even some of the folks in the audience, like our friends at Brightview and others. Whatever those needs are, that's what we have to attend to. And whether it's something simple like just helping them get something off the shelf, or something more, you know, intimate like personal care or showering or toileting, whatever those things are, that's the priority. We need to engage with that person in a meaningful way that makes that person feel cared for, compassionately, and with a little bit of love.
And so the connectivity between, for example, your organization and Fox Rehab may be determining the difference between the help with the ADLs, right, the activities of daily living, which would tie to the long-term care programming and that kind of thing, and when you need a more direct PT. Can you tie that together for us, Laura Lee or Howard?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say this, you know, I mean, it's nice that we've come together like this, but it really started the other way around in terms of the work being done, because it's about trusting these providers, right? It's about knowing when you give a referral that that person's going to go the extra yard to ensure that everything is done the right way and the way that you expect that service promise is delivered. And that's what enabled this, in my opinion, because if you can't deliver on that piece of it, then doing stuff like this, I think, is minimized. So it really starts with being a trusted provider, and then exactly, and then being able to deliver on that service together. So
Howard and I mean, we all work together, but again, I want to I think it's important to note that this demographic is often worried about trust because of the amount of scams, the amount of things that are going on. I remember treating in a home as an occupational therapist, and the phone rang, and it was one of those scams where it was someone who was trying to be her grandchild and said they needed money, right? So there's all these things being thrown at our seniors. So to answer your initial question with who's telling them about this, aside from the wonderful resources, things like SCAN that bring us together where people can actually visually see it, a case manager, a social worker, these are the people, if they do a really great job, they let them know what's coming or what they can go to next. But ultimately, if they get to meet us, then it's like, call Howard, call Natalie, call Laura Lee. Don't call this big company or this big, because they're coming into their homes, and a lot of our patients are not leaving their home very often, right? So to have someone trusted and respected that's going to have that level of compassion. And then, to go off of the ADL part. So they might need assistance with an activity, but they also might need the strength and mobility in order to, the underlying reason why they can't do the activity. So if we can address that from a rehabilitative standpoint, then we can do the physical occupational therapy that might be needed to do that activity better. And then we can also do some caregiver training so that they can facilitate more successfully, less injuries, good body mechanics. And when you walk into a home, I think all of us can respect There are a lot of things that need to be done in terms of modification sometimes, especially if someone's been in that home for a long time and nobody's been in. It's a new set of eyes to make them more successful.
Thank you. Andrew, you're going to say?
Well, the opportunity of going into someone's home, I do think that's unique because, well, you see for yourself. You know, when you go to the doctor and he might ask you something about what you're eating or what you're doing, and who knows what if it's true, but you can go into someone's house, and you too, Howard, and you can look in their refrigerator, and you can see if they're eating properly or exactly what's happening, or is their bathroom unsafe? So going into someone's home gives you a unique perspective.
And it's that natural environment.
Yeah.
So all due respect to outpatient facilities from a in terms of rehabilitation, if someone can go out and get therapy, wonderful. But if they can't, if they do that, they still have to transfer the skill over to the home environment. So height of their bed, height of their bathroom, height of their stairs. It's a completely different situation when you're in the home.
Right.
So yes, it opens the door to, I think, even more success in that place where they are the most.
And when you can make your home feel better for someone, or taking care of them in their own home, you're giving peace of mind to their family. You know, the adult children are always worried, and you're delivering peace of mind in addition to therapy and just excellent home care. I mean, just putting a shower rail in is delivering peace of mind for their children.
Seating, the rails,
Yeah.
even the handhelds, everything that we install for them to keep them safe in the showers, and we go over everything, and the low barrier shower pans, no barrier shower pans, this way they can walk in easily. Like when we talk with Laura Lee and obviously Howard with the healthcare, and whatever their needs are, we try to focus completely on that to keep them completely safe and keep the families, and they're very happy. They're always thanking us.
And so a family goes, you know, that's really great. Can't afford it. Can we talk about funding and other types of things, of whether it's private or insurance based, or just on a macro level of how that may work? And has the model changed from going out for physical therapy, going out for occupational therapy? Has there been a transition in payment systems, perhaps, for in-home therapy, or how the success rates of helping folks with these different things? But speak to the cost issue for a moment, because that may be a perceived barrier, right? Not necessarily a barrier, about how folks can utilize the services that we're talking about.
Howard, do you want to start with yours? Or then? Okay. So as far as therapy, I think a big reason why I go to a lot of these lunch and learns, I think people only know what they know, right? So many people are aware of a VNA or Meridian at Home in this area and a Med-A agency through Medicare. We're actually a Medicare B provider, and I think a lot of people, unless they've come across it or someone recommended it, they're not aware that they actually, if they have Medicare services through Med B, they are eligible for therapy. It picks up about 80%. And then if they have a supplemental, a lot of times their services are 100% covered. So I think people might think, oh, I get, a Medicare A agency in for about a month and that's it. My only option is to go out. And then what happens is, if it's not feasible for them, or they don't have a child or somebody to come take them to therapy at that point, they just don't go. Or they go once or twice, and a lot of people, I tried therapy, it doesn't work. And we know it only works if you work it. And they're much more likely to adhere to a plan of care with the correct dosage if we can come straight to them. They don't have to get dressed, they don't have to do all these things and exhaust themselves before they get out. So as far as therapy, there are options. And then there's outpatient services as well. So I think in terms of the continuum, it's a matter of what they can access, but knowing that there's this huge Med B piece in the home is huge, because I think a lot of people still think it's only outpatient.
Thank you, Howard.
Yeah, I would add that unfortunately, the healthcare system doesn't always fully pay for services like mine, but there are some good options. I think, given that, Memorial Day weekend, one of the things that I'm most proud of is that we are a VA provider. So for any of our veterans that are in a VA hospital or in the VA community health program, they can reach out to us and get a wonderful provider with no out-of-pocket cost. And we service many, many veterans in the community, and we're happy to do that. There are some really great programs in addition to the community health program. There's an aid and attendance benefit. Those can be used to pay for medical needs as well. Of course, there's always long-term care insurance. I think the long-term care insurance is something more on the affluent side. But and then, of course, for me, it's my business is driven primarily by private pay. And but we do try to help. We do try to work within folks' means and budget, and that's part of the conversation and planning that we do when we have an initial consultation with a family.
Well, thank you for that. We talked earlier about trust and trusting the folks that you're working with, and there's an old phrase called trust but verify, right? So that ties to another word I'd like to, if Howard, you can kick it off, accreditation. So if folks want to be able to, they trust, they feel comfortable, but that they want to be sure, there's an accreditation process, correct? Can you speak to that so folks can differentiate care providers?
So accreditation in home care is extremely important. Yes, we're a licensed agency, which means that we're bonded, insured, all of those types of things. But then we work with an accrediting body that does, it's called CAC. They come in and do an annual review, and they check all of our practices, our policies. They check our medical records. They check our personnel records. And this is to ensure that we're actually exceeding the standards of the state in providing care. This is something that, is one required, but also is an opportunity for us to learn, evaluate, and improve, right? Every year we get something new, we learn something new, and it's about ensuring that we can, one, fulfill our promise of service, but also that we can deliver a higher and exceptional level of care, which is something that we strive to do every day. And that accreditation standard is really the high watermark in order to be, a home care agency.
Anyone else want to speak to accreditation?
We at SCAN, we're not accredited in the sense that you all are, but one of our strengths is the fact that we bring people together. And my phone rings all the time. I want to be at your lunch and learn. I want to participate in this and that. We don't just let anybody come to our lunch and learns and our events. We are actually very particular. So we feel that we are kind of vetting the people that are there. So therefore, when you meet someone at an event at SCAN, you know that we've already checked them out. We've put our faith in them, so you should feel good about everyone who is part of a SCAN event. So that's our kind of vetting process.
And SCAN is has a legacy of trust and a trusted agency. And I have a question that ties directly to SCAN about educating and communicating with folks, and ties to, I think, a very important issue that we're reading about more and more. I have no doubt that in our audience today, they have folks that are in their family who have something that they talk about quite a bit that ties right to the mental health, ties right to physical health, and it's loneliness. Parents or grandparents that are other folks that are alone or feel alone, right? Yeah. Even if they're not alone, and that they're reluctant to avail themselves of services, or even to your point about SCAN, communicating about the services are available. These have tremendous impacts. Loneliness, as a layperson, but reading minimal literature, tying to dementia, tying to other health issues, physical, mental wellness issues. Can you speak to that from SCAN's perspective? Because in a sense, it's the origin story is understanding what you need, and how do you break through the reluctance, the refusal for folks to get the care that that they would really truly benefit from? Can we speak? I know it's a broader topic, but can we speak to that a little bit?
One thing, we like to say socialization is the antidote for isolation. You have to ultimately leave your house. We can't pick you up and bring you, so you have to come to us. But we offer an opportunity for socialization that for a lot of seniors, they might not have that opportunity, and to interact with people of their own age. And, all of our classes are taught by seniors or attended by seniors. So we build a little community there of people and socialization. And so because we like to think we're building this community, even with the lunch and learns, there's a lot of, you might not listen to your family, but you may very well listen to your peers at SCAN. And so somebody found, Fox Rehab very helpful, and really like Laura Lee. And so you share that with someone else, your peer, and it seems to have a lot more weight than coming from a family member.
We always tell them it's not necessarily for you, it's for someone you might know, right? It's not always what we need.
Exactly.
But I think it's very true. And I also, this whole thing, we hear this all the time. I know I do, I'm sure you guys do as well. And I know James couldn't be here today, but I know he's a very big part of this too. Because we're able to go into the home, that piece of socialization from our aspect, it is huge. And the families often say that. They so look forward to the therapist coming, the caregiver coming, whether it's for that shower, whatever it is that they're coming into. And often, listen, my physical, occupational, even speech therapy, when we deal with cognitive rehab, like you're literally exercising your brain. These things are not always easy, but the children often say they'll do it for you, they won't do it for me. Because even if we give a home exercise program or something, we're like, did you do your exercise? They're like, they do it best when you guys come in. But it's something that they, again, look forward to. We put it on the calendar. We make sure they know that they're coming, So once that door is open, and you do come into their homes, you do Facebook Live, you do all that. So
that's true. That's true.
COVID opened a lot of doors
by
for a lot of
video.
people.
I come into your home. Yes. But I don't walk through the door like you guys.
We wish
do.
you did.
So Natalie, let's talk about planning ahead, right? A lot of folks will have something like somebody fell, somebody tripped, slipped, these kinds of things. And then it's going back and retrofitting things and going back and creating ramps. And all of those things are really, really important. But let's get ahead of the pelvic fracture. Let's get ahead of the hip fracture, the broken elbow, and these kinds of things, or obviously worse. So if folks here or listening are saying, well, okay, what can I actually do right now? I understand that there are different options. I understand different communications, ways that we can assist our family members, and it's all excellent. Is there anything I should be thinking about now before the issue, before earlier onset? Should we be thinking about things? What might they be as far as bathrooms, accessibility, things of that nature, when folks are aging and they want to age in place and healthy and happy where they are? Can we talk about that a little bit? And for Howard, what are the things people should be thinking about? And for communications, Andrea, how could we start communicating now instead of after something happens? You really need to go to this seminar at SCAN, ahead of time, and also for you as well, Laura Lee. Start, Natalie.
Terrence, that's a great question. Yes, so we do have a lot of people coming through our doors that either for themselves or for their parents or for both that say, you know what, I don't want to wait till the last minute until something happens and we have to redo a lot. And again, aging in place, you're in your home, and that home, you might have been there already for 30, 40 years, if not more, and you might have not have done a renovation in your shower area or in your bathroom or anywhere in your home. And it is important. So we go in and we come in for a no obligation. Our design consultants come in and we go over the entire scope of work to make it safe, and we give them all the options. So depending on what the situation is, depending on the age, or again, there is no situation, they just want to be precautionary, we give them different options. So if they already have a tub and they have tiles and the tiles are falling and they're moldy and they're mildewy, what we do is we'll recommend that change that into a walk-in shower, get rid of the tiles, let's check, make sure there's no mold and mildew, because we don't want that. Also, aging, it's hard to keep things clean. Our products which we explained to them, are also 100% mold and mildew resistant. So in that case, it's also a great thing for down the road, easy clean, and then different other options, like I had mentioned before, handheld, benches, handrails, all those things. And also the flooring. We don't want the flooring to be damaged because we don't want to do a trip hazard, etc. So we go over a lot of different things and options for them to make it very safe.
Thank you. And you know, also, Howard, I don't know if you don't, maybe you might like to, if you're connecting with Lennar, Toll Brothers, Hovnanian, while they're building homes, while they're building 55 and up and others, even if it were in subtle ways where there were panels that can open up for potential future adaptation. Can you speak to that? Yes, I'm sorry, Natalie.
Can I just interrupt with that?
Yeah.
That's a perfect one, because what happens is we do get a lot from the Toll Brothers and other different developers of the homes, and the seniors come in and they have those beautiful jacuzzi tubs, and they always say, all of them say, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful, but we can't use it. So a shout out to all those builders. Maybe redesign, give us a call. We can collaborate together, because we get so much of that where they're just, they want to redo it, or they leave it alone and then they try to add something, knock down a closet door, etc., to expand the smaller walk-in shower that they have because they want a larger one.
Thank you, Howard.
I think, people often come to me when they're in transitions, life transitions, okay? And those come in two ways. One is a crisis, they're in crisis, or two, they recognized a need, and that need, it needs to be addressed, whatever it is. But if you take a step back from that and you actually have planned and understand what that respective person's wishes are, then you can actually implement a game plan without guessing, without, having to have the hard conversation again, right? You have a plan that you can implement. And I think very often the families that are in crisis didn't have those tough conversations with their loved one. And that's something that, I talk about very often, is have that conversation ahead of time. Do some planning. Talk to your loved one about what their wishes are. Do they want to remain safe in their home? Do they want to age in place? And if the answer is yes, then you can have a plan that enables to do them and to take those steps. When you have that transition and it's a crisis, it's a very different approach and result, and there may be resistance, there may be other challenges. But the one thing that I'll, just in terms of safety and finalization, I think is really important, and it kind of ties to what Natalie is saying, is, one of the first things that we do when we come into a house is a safety inspection, right? So often some things like rugs, which we don't think about as a tripping hazard for a senior, that's something that could cause a fall. Or, maybe they're doing laundry in their basement and there isn't a good effective light in the basement on those rickety old wooden stairs that haven't been properly maintained, right? That's a recipe for a disaster. So, if we can go in terms of just, again, of planning and being prepared, those are the types of things that, we can get out ahead of so that situations do not become a crisis.
I think it's very interesting that you do an assessment. So to channel a superintendent I know very well, it's looking through that lens, a different lens. So you come to things in a different way. Laura Lee won't mind me saying that when she came here, she said, do you have chairs that are any lower? Or something to that effect. Now, she doesn't realize.
I said they're really low. I said, good thing we don't have any knee issues. And
yeah, so
he didn't
little
even
do you
notice
know.
it.
Little do you know. So she doesn't realize that mine is actually the only one that's spring-loaded. So if I don't do a good job, Jeannie's got a little red button right through the solar panel. But looking at things differently. Making sure that things are safe, that's being proactive. And that's why I was mentioning a little bit of developers. Instead of retrofitting, it's just fitting. And so the assessment process, that also strikes me as it ties to accreditation, what a professional organization does, because sometimes folks don't know where to turn. Well, they know where to turn now. You have the A-team right here. But to know where do you go? Like, that was just an open question. Where does one start? They know something fundamentally that there's assistance needed. What is the what might be the mental checklist for the average layperson? They may be brilliant or whatever their careers are, but mom or dad or a relative or could be a child needs help. I mean, this is multi-generational. Adaptability and activities of daily living and things of that nature. Where do you start? Is that too broad a question? But where's the beginning point?
You know, I think, I mean, it's a good question, and it's a constant question. So every time we have a lunch and learn or any kind of an event, I mean, the whole purpose is that we want to introduce you to all of these community partners, your potential provider. So that's why we do what we do. And you know what? The first time you come, you might not really think about it. Maybe you have to meet people over and over. And it's so true, you know, like you don't want to make a decision in a crisis because you're never going to make a good decision that way. But we like to think that we're preparing you by introducing you, or at least we're giving you the opportunity to come and meet people in a low-key environment when you're not in a crisis, so that's your starting point. And then if you meet Howard and now you remember him, but maybe you need other things as well, but when you're speaking to Howard, he's going to share that with you. I would never expect one person to figure it all out. It really takes a village, right? We all are working together to set you up for success, to age in place.
Laura Lee, thank you.
Yeah, so I was going to say, just listening to you speak, you also bring in a lot of physicians, all different kinds.
Yes, we do.
So a large part of what I do on a daily basis is educating our physicians, because although they know that all of these resources exist, it's making sure that they put two and two together, right, with the patient. And a lot of times they don't always have the time, but if they see me X, Y, you know, how many times do I come in there? Maybe somebody, the office manager or somebody that's there is going to think about Fox. But to speak to that point, it is our providers also. So back in the day, I mean, we were founded this geriatric house call model. I think it's so important. How many people love to have their doctor come in their home? That was what it was. And that doctor had eyes for all of it, right? And all the recommendations because they were seeing. So we're just kind of bridging the gap when they can't see it.
And your founder wanted to eliminate ageism, right?
Yeah, he's a big champion of that. And honestly, 26 years ago, he himself is a physical therapist. Many of we're really run primarily by clinicians. But he saw like the improper dosage, the plans of care that weren't working, this revolving door. I'm looking at the physicians being like, yes, 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 because it's a constant problem, right? And now you only get to see a lot of patients for a quick, amount of
5
time.
minutes.
Right. So if you have reliable providers that you can point them in the right direction and be that person, I just think you're that much better of a provider, and then if we, like Howard said, can really show up the way that we should and make sure, like I know how he cares about his staff, and I know how James and Seth from Chefs for Seniors, how much they care about the chefs that are there and the vetting process for them. And for us, it's clinical excellence or you're not a provider with us, and like she said, the vetting, and Natalie, like she's doing the work to learn what the seniors need in this aspect. Not many bathroom pros would be doing that. So it's really great.
Well, thank you for that. And before we open up to questions, there are folks that are listening and they want to know how to reach you and what exactly, just a better understanding of your particular industry and business. So, Howard, could we start with you? Because Home Helpers, can you share? You're at a freehold. Can you describe your services and how folks can reach you?
Yeah, sure. So our office is in Freehold, and again, we service Monmouth, Mercer, and Burlington counties. You can find us on the web at www.homehelpershomecare.com, or you can certainly give us a call at 908-975-0400. What we want to do is have a conversation. We want to be able to help you assess what your actual care needs are and then come up with a plan. The biggest thing, and we talked a little bit about the assessment, is that care plan. And when a nurse comes into your home and is able to assess your loved one and work with the family, that not only addresses that loved one's needs, but also addresses peace of mind for the family. And that's a lot of what we do is about. It's about peace of mind. So if you know a senior or a veteran, perhaps that's not getting the help that they need, we're happy to provide that assistance.
Thank you. And thank you for all the work you're doing for veterans. It really matters. Laura Lee?
Sure. So I cover Monmouth County for Fox Rehabilitation. We actually are in 38 states and DC. If you need to, reach out to me. Is this where you want us to give our phone number?
Yeah, sure.
609-922-0260. I think like anyone here, we do our best, even if it's not for us, to guide whoever calls that number to point them in the right direction. But yeah, we provide physical, occupational, and speech therapy services in the home. We also, if home is not where somebody wants to be, we are the main provider or a preferred provider in about a dozen assisted livings across Monmouth.
Thank you so much for that. Natalie.
Yes, Bathroom Pros is located in 2 locations. One in Toms River is our main office, and the other is in Brick, New Jersey. We cover all of New Jersey, Monmouth, and all the other counties, and we do touch on a little bit in the Pennsylvania areas, depending on where they are. So our number is 732-285-1010. Give us a call. There's no obligation. We will come out. We'll do an assessment for your loved ones, and we'll be happy to make their home safe.
Well, I appreciate that. I got to tell you, I haven't seen a collaboration of this in your field, in your areas of expertise, where you're connecting the different important pieces on really a continuum of care, including the infrastructure piece, which is so important, and the educational piece that, Andre, you're so involved with now. I mean, it's really, really wonderful. And what I'd like to do is we're going to open up for some questions, and then I want to make sure people have the key takeaway points that you want to share with them. And if you have a next big thing or where's the next road show, we could let folks know and then take it from there. And we'll grab a quick photo afterwards. But Jeannie, Gary, hello, how are you?
Great program, guys. Thank you very much. When we talk about long-term healthcare versus healthcare insurance versus as needed, can you go into what's the best financial decision to make?
I think you have to really look at when you're going for the long-term care insurance, I think you got to really look at a few things with the plan. One is typically you're paying into those for a number of years, so inflation pays a big factor. Whatever those daily payout rates are they today's rates? And then when you need it 15 years later, is that going to cover the need? So really, I think one of the biggest things is the cost of inflation. But what I find most troubling about what happens with long-term care insurance, it's a benefit paid for that's not utilized, right? And that's what I think is most sad, when perhaps someone is resistant to care that actually has this benefit, doesn't use it. And I can't tell you, Gary, how many times we actually see that. But you really, just in terms of the financials of it, you have to really evaluate what present versus future value is and make sure that you feel what you're paying into it is going to be able to, make sense on the back end of it, and that it will actually be able to cover those expenses.
Is it essentially like a gamble? You're sort of gambling you're going to need it?
No, I wouldn't say. I think, listen, if we're all fortunate enough to get to that point, we probably are going to need it. And how you utilize it is up to the family. Some people have a bigger support system. Maybe, the difference is that maybe out of state, children versus in-state children, like all of those kind of things kind of factor in. But most of what I think it's all about is about financing and being able to, pay for that future need. There is a little bit of, risk reward kind of situation, but if you're doing that, you're perceiving that there is need, and there's a lot of different ways that you can utilize that benefit, even if you don't choose in-home care, but you can get the help that you need. So I do think it's a wise investment.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. Every individual situation is different, so this is a bit of the insurance broker in me. Very big, different conversation, but folks either assume the risk, they can transfer the risk. The long-term care insurance policies and products over the years have had some difficult times as far as pricing and things of that nature. But the point I wanted to get at also, life insurance policies have evolved, so there are long-term care components within the structure of a life insurance policy, which many folks may not be aware of. So they should speak to their representatives and professionals. We have one here, right? So I'm on track, right? So as a rider to the life insurance policy, that in the event that triggered that need, that was also a way from a financial planning perspective. Big conversation, but look also to the life insurance side of having a long-term care rider, and talk to your professionals, though, about the details of that. But these are other options that have evolved over time. I see I got a Laura Lee agreeing with me there, so it's good. Not on the chairs, but on the life insurance, on the long-term care. So, but that's an element as well that folks should be familiar with. Thank you, Gary. Yes.
Hi. I don't have a question, but I just have a comment, because personally, my dad has passed a number of years ago, but I went through this and I didn't know where to start. So I know you said, where do you start? And I didn't have anyone to talk to, because nobody I knew was going through this, of friends or anybody. I'm an only child, and it was just my dad. So I just did a lot of research. I Googled, I did go to a home care agency. We did have 8, and it was more for companionship, taking him shopping, doctor's appointments, things like that. Luckily, he lived to 89 and didn't need any really personal care, but it was difficult. It was very difficult. So having this, I wish I had this about 9-10 years ago, but it's just such great information, and I want to thank you, because I navigated on my own. And luckily, it took a while, because we went through a lot of caregivers to find the right one. And she wound up being amazing. And I called her his angel, and we are very good friends to this day. So, but thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
This is brilliant. Thank you for doing this. I love it, because, as Gail said, it's so hard for families to know where to start and know where to go, and most importantly, know who to trust. And this is a trustworthy group right here. And I know 3 of you know my father because we've used your services, or you've helped me navigate through some stuff. And Natalie, I didn't know you at the time, or I would have called you too. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you. And let's hear it for our sponsor today, right? Shore AC. Thank you so much for being here and sponsoring this event.
So I just want to touch on, we were talking about assessments and how important they are. And quite frankly, one of the most important things about assessing a patient is then going back to your office, to your pool of caregivers, and matching up the correct caregiver for that patient's needs. Because they could have Alzheimer's, dementia, or a plethora of other things, and you just don't want to not make that correct connection. And also today, I'm finding a lot of people are not investing in home care. They are instead hiring someone off the street for a nominal amount, and they're being penny wise, dollar foolish. I think that's the saying, because I was explaining to a senior, if someone gets hurt in your home, they're going to sue you. The person that you're trusting to take care of you, they're going to sue you, because they're not coming from a company, they're not licensed, bonded, insured, or accredited. So these are really important things that he touched on, and I totally agree. But yeah.
And Linda, I would also say that, people, when they employ someone today, don't understand that they actually have to provide workman's comp, that they actually have to provide personal time off and paid sick leave, right? So there's a lot to it when you go out and hire someone privately versus working with an agency like what we have. It's very, very different. Being able to select from a pool of caregivers versus trying to hire someone privately is very, very different. You really need to think about that, and also consider, do you actually know who you're hiring? Have you done the due diligence? Have you done all these things? So we could have a whole conversation about that.
So this is great information, but if anyone couldn't be here today, where can they find this podcast? and maybe they'll get to it. And will you guys be putting clips on your personal socials or your company socials? How does that work?
Wonderful segue to Shared Universe Podcast, streaming live on YouTube and on Facebook. We'll be on the Monmouth Regional Chamber of Commerce Facebook site as well. And also go check out Shared Universe Podcast and follow their channels as well.
Yes.
For Ming the Merciful, who travels the world
Yes,
in
and
very different adventures.
Sorry, the live version, which is streaming live right now, is archived on the Facebook pages for Monmouth Regional Chamber of Commerce and for the page that's MRCC ChamberCast. Okay?
As Terrence alluded to earlier, I have a little bit of a Parks and Rec background. So over the past 10, 15 years, I've seen the transformation of ADA access in spaces. And it's not just for people that are disabled or for youth. It's for the grandparents to be able to meet with their kids, grandkids, things like that. I appreciate the topic that you had about the handlebars in homes and things like that. I'm very lucky to have active grandparents. But in the sense of sport and recreation, what is a trend that you kind of see in fostering that active lifestyle for people in your communities going forward as ADA access is becoming more of a thing to create these opportunities for, I don't want to say older folk, but people in need of these services as well?
So if someone is actually able to access the community, it's actually a good point I didn't mention. So you don't have to be homebound in order to use our personal services. Like a Medicare agency, you can access the community. So what's really nice is everything is really based on individualized care. So if one of the goals of one of our clients or patients is that they really do want to go visit and see, their grandson's soccer game, then that's something that the therapist can actually do with them, bring whatever accommodation that might be, if it's a walker or whatever, to access the actual place. But I think it's just knowing who the patient is or the individual or client is, what their goals are, what's safe, and then it's our job to do the resources, the research as far as where can we access and where can you go and meet your family to do these types of things.
Yeah, and I would just add that I think that is what quality of life is about. When you're able to go out with your family members and enjoy a game, I think that that's a wonderful thing to be able to do. And whether you need a caregiver to assist you with that, or maybe it's a family caregiver that's actually aiding in the enablement of having a wonderful family activity, like being able to go to a sporting event, that is actually quality of life. That enables that senior to be active, to be involved, and to be engaged. And that's what this is really all about. So we love that kind of stuff.
And I'll just mention that at SCAN, again, our tagline, keeping seniors active, healthy, and connected. So we also have classes at our location, which I'm not going to mention, by the way, the basement of the Monmouth Mall.
Soon to be elsewhere.
Yeah, soon to be elsewhere. But, we've got, you want to learn Italian, you want to learn French, you want to do yoga. We have a full range of, things that are going to address you mind, body, and spirit. We strongly believe in keeping you physically active, but we also believe in keeping you mentally active. So that's exactly what we do at SCAN.
And so I've got a follow-up question to that. So what's the impact of bringing this collaboration together, kind of bringing the mic back to the host of the Roadshow, and what impact do you see this bringing together? What's the impact of having this kind of collaboration for the community?
Right. I think the impact is what we're talking about is raising awareness so that you know that we all exist. And if you need the services, here they are. Because it does take a village. And I want people to be prepared and, have the knowledge of who know their community partners. And this is how you're going to get to know them. And if there's something that you need that we can't handle, we can tell you, we can refer you to the right place. So I think that's the impact.
Could I add?
Yes.
I would just say, one of the things that I love about SCAN is that when I participate in these events, I have seen the same folks over and over again. And the one thing that I think is most important to start a trusted relationship is to actually have that introduction, have those, introductory conversations so that you can develop a relationship. SCAN is just one of those forums that enables that and introduces those trusted providers in a really wonderful way.
Thank you for that. Any other questions? We're good? Okay. So I want to, if we can, just if you have next big thing happening in your company or with the collaboration, we're going to start with Natalie, and then we're going to talk to Laura Lee and Andrea and Howard. And again, just how do folks reach you? And then we'll wrap up today. Thank you. Go ahead, Natalie.
Obviously, yes. Bathroom Pros has a Facebook and an Instagram. So a lot of these things, our events are going to start getting tagged on here, especially today's event as well. We do have a phenomenal program that we've been implementing called the White Glove Service that is going to be focused to the 55 and plus communities, which we're in the process of probably kicking off in another week or two. So that's going to be extra special. It's going to be about referrals, giving them more knowledge and everything else to all our services, and to reach out to their friends as well and to the developments and communities. And we have an event in June 19th at one of the communities, Leisure Village West, that's coming up. And also, Howard, help me out here, at the Middletown Seniors. Yes, also in June. So we're looking forward to that, and thank you.
Excellent. Laura Lee.
Yeah, I'll say next big thing for us, aside from the events that are already planned, if anyone listening knows anyone in a 55 and older, or who someone is on the board or does their calendar of events that you think that their residents could really benefit from what we're doing, I would love for you to bridge that gap. We'd be so excited and honored to do that for them. Chef James isn't here, but he also loves to bring the lunch and do the lunch too. So there's a lot of options there. But if you do, please spread the word. That's how we do what we do. I'd say for Fox, the next biggest thing, aside from continued growth and clinical excellence, is we also have private pay wellness options. So we have fitness specialists that are actually going in homes. We've gotten really good, I think, at expressing how important it is to stay mobile and to stay active. So if, let's say, you've had a plan of care through insurance with us, and it's someone that, they didn't necessarily get a script from the doctor for therapy, but they just want to keep going in some way, it's a skilled set of eyes that can come in and continue a home exercise plan. And we're doing that in both group offerings for people to come in at different buildings, or we can come into the home for a one-on-one. So I'd say that's our next big thing.
Big stuff. Thank you very much. Andrea.
So to find out what's happening at SCAN, you can go to our website, www.scannj.org. You can look at our Facebook page. Our next big event is actually our Brain Health Fair, which is something we do twice a year. This particular one is in Toms River. And I guess our other big thing is that, because we are located in the basement of the mall, we are attempting to get out of the mall. So I don't recommend a site visit right now. So stay tuned to see where we land.
You're going to land in a fantastic place, that's for sure.
We
Howard?
will.
We talked a little bit about, Laura Lee mentioned looking for additional venues and opportunities, so I think that's a big one for us. But we're also looking for other providers that can plug into this model, because we are looking to extend it, right? One of the features of home helpers is care concierge. So when a client comes to me, I'm not only providing them home care service, but I'm also able to talk about PT, OT, speech language pathology. I'm also able to talk about a safe bathroom. I'm also able to talk about, senior programs in the community. That connection and that being able to provide a concierge service like that on top of quality, compassionate home care is what I think sets us apart. When we think about the full wellness of an individual, right? To be able to address all of those needs is really what's critical. And the genesis of this program really showed the value that a provider like myself can actually amplify that wellness if I can plug into all of those things. So I think that's really critical to what we're doing. So we're looking for amazing providers as well.
And thank you for that. What we're learning today, really, life isn't just about living. It's about thriving. And we'll want to, on behalf of myself and our guests here, we want to thank all of you for being here after a busy Memorial Day weekend. We want to thank again all our veterans for keeping us safe and for making sure that we are reminded that freedom isn't free. And for the folks that are watching streaming live, we thank you for watching as well. We hope this content was very helpful for any generation. And I want to just say thank you again to you, for our guests, to Natalie, Laura Lee, Andrea, and Howard. A round of applause, please, for our guests that are here today. On behalf of the Monmouth Regional Chamber of Commerce and ChamberCast, thank you again so much for being here. We appreciate your time, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. And if we could come up for a quick photograph, that would be awesome. Gary is our facilitator extraordinaire. He will tell us where to sit, stand, and I'm going to hike this chair up a little bit. So Laura Lee is, so we're, no, okay, yeah, stay seated. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ming Chen, Shared Universe Podcast, right here in Bellworks. And, sorry? And our sponsor, again, thank you so much, Shore AC. Make sure to go to the 5th Annual Big Bang Mile.